who just steps in front of a ref. Man, this was the bad omen right here. Ladies and gentlemen, Notre Dame handles Georgia and really does handle it in a full team win. Marcus Freeman boys, the Fighting Irish, does what they need to do. So today in this video, we're going to review the game, kind of walk through it, the thought process, the ripple effect for college football, and then just really take a little quick sneak peek at what the bracket looks like after everything, man. But I really appreciate y'all watching these videos and enjoying them. If you do like them, leave a like on it. If you don't, dislike it. Subscribe if you enjoy college football content, man. Let's get right into it. First things first, I'm not going to just sit around here and not act like I don't hear the things that have been saying about the Southeastern Conference. The conference championships hasn't been looking too great, especially in the bowl game, right? When you count everything and you look at the way that everything has kind of laid out for the SEC, man, we're not looking too hot. And now Georgia haven't been able to succeed in their quarterfinals, right? Even with a bye week, and of course, no team with a bye week and no team that won the conference championship won their game in the college football playoff. That's just crazy to think about. It's just an odd situation that if you're a lover of the Southeastern Conference and a defender, you have to be in. But let's take a look and a peek. First things first, obviously, Notre Dame won by a few of them points there, and really just talk about the full scale of the game, because I do have the full box score and things, but I just kind of wanted to make sure that we understand that this was a dominant win. There was times when Gunnar Stockton gave life to Georgia. There was times, a lot of times, where Georgia was making it really hard for Notre Dame to move the ball. But that's why I say a team win. They kept finding ways to get the ball down the field, to get into the end zone, to put points on the board. And that defense was just being as stingy as advertised. I mean, the secondary was coming in fire. But I really think the linebackers in that front seven was blowing things up. They were in places and spaces. Like, this looked like an athletic, fast, rangy group that, I mean, obviously a lot of Notre Dame people have seen and know it to be, but I think it's remarkable to see that and to do that against a team in Georgia who's at the baseline. That's what they're known for, right? If Georgia doesn't have a great offense, they don't have anything, what they're going to have is they're going to have beef, right? They're going to have beef, and they're going to have athletes all over the place. And it seems like they got out-athleted, they got out-coached, and they got out-athleted, right? So I think it's a peculiar little situation to be here, because, you know, Georgia was moving the ball. They were getting things moving. They were sparking stuff, but they just didn't have enough. Every single time it felt like Georgia had time to mount things going and get things moving. Notre Dame went ahead and squashed it out. So just from a complete team win perspective, there's that. But from a silliness perspective, we have to talk about Charlie, or whatever his name is, who just steps in front of a ref. Man, this was the bad omen right here. Okay, if you're a Fighting Irish, you already knew where this was going. I mean, this I believe brought back a big play. I can't really remember, because I mean, this didn't really end up being a big deal because they just got smacked in every other regard. But yeah, man, this was crazy. What's his name? Parker or something? I don't know. Some dude. He's gonna be rushing a fraternity here soon. I mean, it was getting real nasty. It was getting real nasty. There was a point where there were 17 points, 54 seconds. Like, it changed really quick. Like, coming to the end of the third quarter, it was like, oh, okay, 3-3, or it was like 3-6. All right, hard fought game, defense. You know what I mean? Ryan Leonard's moved the ball. Georgia had to move the ball, and then it's just like fumble, touchdown, punt return, touchdown. Now we up 20. What's happening? Like, whoa. Can we calm it down? It got real nasty. It got real nasty real quickly. Georgia was able to at least withstand and get to a point where they were able to live and breathe, right? And make it a real football game, but really Notre Dame went away and didn't look back. So let's take a peek and take a listen at what Kirby Smart had to say after the game. And then after that, I think we're going to take more of a look and a thought process and a look at – oh, wait, first before we do that, just box score here. Obviously, Ryan Leonard, 15 for 24, 90 yards and a tutter. Again, he did most of his damage on the ground. 14 carries for 80 yards, 5.7, long of 32. Again, no touchdowns, but like, there's nothing flashy about this, right? There's more flash over here. I mean, Gunnar Stockton. I mean, can we give the backup credit, 20 for 32, 234, 7.3, no interceptions, was really throw some really good balls for a guy who's known as the runner. He was putting some really good footballs out there. Obviously, the guy's known as a runner. Negative 23 yards, college football, they count sacks against you. Weird, whatever. Travis Etienne also couldn't get much going. Nate Frazier was the only one really putting a spark into things, so I think that was interesting to see there. So, I mean, this wasn't a problem where we're going to look at Gunnar Stockton and say he was terrible, but we can't look at that offensive line and say what was going on, because they seemed like they were rattled. There were so many penalties. There was a lot of false starts. There were holdings. It just felt like a Georgia team that took this bye week. And if I really want, because we can have a broader conversation, because like we alluded to and like we talked about, there was no first round team that won their game, right? So I think this conversation that we have to have about what the college football playoff is, and I'm sorry that it always comes back to this, but this is what the committee has created by creating the 12-team playoff, right? You created an area, an environment where after every single game, there's going to be a new take on the college football playoff. And after the end of this, coming into the semifinals, I have to clearly and loudly say there's not 12 teams, dog. There's not 12 teams. And not only that, we just wasted the Rose Bowl in a quarterfinal game where Oregon got their heads thrown into the locker room, smashed into the toilet, kicked in the bunghole, threw him down a hill, son. It threw rocks at him while he was down there. I don't want to see that in Pasadena. The Rose Bowl. I mean, these are legendary bowl games, and instead of finding ways to incentivize those bowl games, right, we instead just tied them in, roped them into the college football playoff, and when we get blowouts like this, don't be surprised. But then again, look, it's football. That's another thing. That's a whole other conversation another day. The fact that this whole new thing that we have to pretend like blowouts are new in playoffs, and not only that they're new, but that they're new in football, dog. That's what happens. And now, I can't believe now that we added an additional motherfucking 8 teams into this playoff that there's more blowouts. Yes, yeah, golly, but I do agree that there's just not that many teams in general. People are like, oh, okay, well, if we go to the 14 playoff, Texas wouldn't have made it. I don't think Texas was a playoff team. Sorry about it. I don't think they were a playoff team. I don't think Penn State's a playoff team. I don't think Notre Dame's a playoff team. If you lose to NIU, I think there should be a real consequence there. Sorry about it. Now, Oregon showed as the number 1 team that they wouldn't really have a lot going on for them, right? And again, I'm going off of CFP ranking and not afro ranking. It's a little more detailed than that, but no, man. And to be honest with you, 4 teams, I think 8 teams is like the right number, to be honest with you. I think a quarter and a semi, and then we get into it. I think that's just the right amount. I think you get to fill your pockets. Let's create either new bowl games or just make them the semi and quarterfinals, and then incentivize the other good bowl games, because everybody got these buys and they seem to only be in detriment. And then you have the Oregon conversation where people were screaming from the mountaintops. I thought they were dumb. And look, I've watched a lot of college football, but a bye is different. These long byes are different. Sometimes it's like that in the national championship. That's how it usually is, right, in the CFP. But now that there isn't that, and it really seemed to be, in my head, I was thinking these guys aren't NFL players, so it would be rough for them. And it would be advantageous for them to have as much time. But I think it's the reverse. And I think we just found that out, that they aren't NFL players. They're younger. They probably need to get as many live reps as possible to be ready for the biggest game of their lives. And I think you could see that from Georgia. You could clearly see that from Oregon. You could see that from Arizona State, who came out the game flat. Go watch the post game conference with what's it called, Cam Scatterboo. He says, yo, I was feeling rough. Went ahead and vomited and rioted and did his thing. So just a lot of overanalyzing that's going to happen to the college football playoff and the committee in general. But back to what we're doing. Let's listen to Kirby Smart because he did have some nice things to say. Because look, at the end of the day, this still haunts me. This haunts me. By the way, 61% of the money was on Georgia to get her done. They did not get her done. This picture still haunts me from the first time we played Texas, Georgia. Very, 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 very scary, man. That Kirby Smart, and I think anything else but recognizing as him as one of the best coaches in the nation, is just silly. But hear him talking.
And their team, they played
Can
exactly
we hear
like
him?
we expected them to play. Physical, tough, don't beat yourself. And they did that. They did those exact things, right? They got 2 turnovers, and we didn't. And they returned a kickoff for a touchdown. So we basically spotted them, probably 14 points off of that, and costed ourselves a possession in the red area when we fumbled down there. But, they did a really good job. They played really hard, physical, ran the football. So do we. Those two mirror each other. I think both defenses played well, and we turned the ball over, and they didn't. And they gave us problems in the pass game with the sack and the sack fumble. So give them a lot of credit. That takes nothing away from these men on the stage and the seniors that are part of this class. I mean, absolutely incredible. I just told them what they went through this year and what they played, how they played, the resiliency, the injuries that we've had, and to win an SEC championship, which I have so much respect for our conference, and to win some of the comeback games they won and never quit, even in this game, never quit. That's the attitude you got to have to get better as a football program. So we got a lot of guys moving on, a lot of guys hurt in that locker room because we didn't get the outcome we wanted, but that's part of life. And give Notre Dame credit for how they played, and give our seniors and our leaders credit for what they've done for this program.
Absolutely, and I wasn't shaking my head for nothing other than the fact that I had to be reminded that they beat us in the what's it called, SEC championship. Let's hear what Arian Smith has said, and then we'll start wrapping up here.
We could probably be sitting here in a different, very detrimental, because if we don't have those fumbles, we could probably be sitting here in a different mindset, not so disappointed. But that's how the game goes. Things go well and things go bad. So if we don't have 2 turnovers and don't give that kick return, we could be sitting in a different place.
Yeah, we could, we could, and we should. I do want to talk about a could in a would situation, because there was some nasty officiating at the beginning of this. There was a blown, face mask on Riley Leonard. There was a bunch of nastiness. There was, it felt like the SEC claims were about to come out again, and the biases were about to start flying. But luckily, I think cooler heads prevailed, and things happened the way they needed to happen. But in closing, I think the Georgia team should be very proud of what they did. You beat Texas twice. You were the bane to our existence and the only team that could beat us. So I think that's worth something. I think it's worth winning the SEC championship. I think the SEC championship is only becoming something that's going to be harder and harder to win. And again, I think it's something that should be incentivized. I don't think that this old era, and not to say that people didn't respect conference championships, because I feel like they did. There was a time it was heralded, but at this point, it's like it's natty or bust. Like when people really look at trophy cases, right? So I think that it really does mean something for this team, and the way that people pick the team, the way that people bet on this Georgia team is because they were the dynasty, the Lycans of the Alabama of recent, right? There's a reason they're the team that is going to be there, that's going to be consistent, and they showed that with a lot of fight against a really, really good Notre Dame team. I just think that Notre Dame team is really, really, really good. And I think that's the conversation that's going to have to be had moving forward, because Riley Leonard was playing absolutely lights out. And it wasn't just, his arm and throwing whatever. No, it was the fact that they couldn't stop him with his legs. He wasn't just running. He was running very craftily, right? Like, when we looked at the box score, it wasn't anything crazy. There was not big numbers, but it's the third downs and the third and threes and the third and sixes and giving yourself another opportunity to stay on the field with a defense like Georgia. And if you can do that, I think you can do that against any defense in the nation, especially any defense left here in the college football playoffs. So they got a good chance. My pick is against Ohio State. I know picking against Longhorns is crazy, but that is what it is, man. Be on the lookout. I had just a general yap session about kind of all the games and kind of how we've been here for a second. But salutes to Georgia. Salutes for y'all for handling Texas twice, putting us in our place. I hope we can handle business against Ohio State. That wagon. Notre Dame is a wagon in themselves. So I think it's going to be an interesting matchup, Penn State, Notre Dame. You get down in the comments. Let me know how you feel about the whole Georgia matchup, the Final Four matchup, the college football in general, man. Appreciate y'all watching these videos. If you like it, dislike if you don't like it. Subscribe if you enjoy college football playoffs and all types of content, man. College football. We'll see you next time.